I was gonna make my bed for this video and then I decided to fake make it. What do we think? Hey guys, it's Sam, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a very long awaited video from you guys. You guys have been asking me to do this video for a long time now. So today's video is going to be me reacting to your paranormal stories. Part 2. I already did this once and the first one was really fun, I guess. If you are new here, I would love it so much if you subscribed and commented down below whatever you wanted. You could tell me some of your paranormal stories and maybe I'll do a part 3 if you guys like this. Give this video a thumbs up so I know if you like it or not, and turn on post notifications so you get notified every time I post a new video. Also, you can follow my Instagram, which would be right here, and just show some love on there. And I think that's everything. So let's get into the video. Okay, so the first story I'm going to be telling you is from Ashley Flores, I think. She commented this story under my last video and she wrote so freaking much. So thank you for taking the time and writing this, first of all. And second of all, this story is so spooky, so just get ready. It's literally crazy. So before she wanted to start the actual story of what has happened to her recently, she wanted to give some backstory. About 19 to 20 years ago, she says that a woman did black magic on her mom. If you don't know what black magic is, neither do I really. I'm pretty sure it's just like witchcraft and like it's like bad. It's kind of like voodoo dolls and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Don't listen to me. I don't know. So her mom said that it started off with her seeing like little like things being left on their front door. Like literally like a pile of dirt and random items in there and like just sketchy stuff that are known to be used with black magic, if that makes sense. Her grandma told her mom not to touch any of it just in case it is black magic, so her mom would just like sweep it off the step and just try and ignore it, I guess. So after stuff like that being left on her front door, she noticed that her belongings were starting to go missing, like clothing items and pictures. And then it turned into that she started feeling like a weird presence over her at all times. She just always felt like an entity or something following her, which is very creepy. So time goes on after all that stuff happens, and this girl's mom ends up having her firstborn son, which is this girl's brother. Yeah, everything was fine, and then 6 months go by and she ends up getting a phone call. On the other line, it was some unfamiliar voice to her laughing, saying that she'll never be able to have kids again. This is so scary. This is very scary. So naturally, very uneasy after that phone call, very scared, but I guess there was nothing she could really do about it besides just let time go on. So that's what she did. 2 years later, she gets pregnant again. And unfortunately, the baby was born premature at 7 months. And then after it was born, 15 minutes after it was born, it passed away, which is so sad and also very scary considering 2 years prior she had that phone call and this is the first baby she has had since that phone call. Thankfully, she ended up getting pregnant again with Ashley and then had 3 more babies after that. So she started to feel a little better about the situation. She was like, maybe it was a coincidence that that lady said that and I had a premature baby. Maybe it was just a prank call. You never know. She just was whatever. So Ashley says now every house they move to, she feels like the entity that her mom said she felt. She says that she always feels like someone's around, someone's watching her, just like her mom felt when she was 20 years ago when this first happened to her. And she said she would even have crazy nightmares to the point where she would have trouble going to sleep at night, or they would wake her up in the middle of the night, and it even got to the point where it turned into sleep paralysis. If you don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's basically like you feel like you're awake but you can't move, and you can see, like, a lot of people will see like a shadow or something above them and they can't scream, they can't move. So it's very terrifying. But yeah, everything got so bad to the point where, like, her sleep paralysis and everything got so bad to the point where they actually ended up calling a priest in and blessing the house, and even the person blessing the house was like, yeah, something was definitely in here. It was definitely an uneasy vibe. And it was just a very unsettling story. So that is the end of that story. Thank you so much, Ashley, for typing all of that out and sharing your story with me. It was definitely really scary, but it was a good one, so thank you. This next story was another comment under my last reacting to my subscribers paranormal stories video. And it is from 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 experience, who is about 4 right now. Her aunt told her this story, and it's very creepy. So her 4-year-old cousin was having a tea party alone in her room, and her mom, which is this girl's aunt, comes into the room. And she sees that her daughter is talking to someone. So her aunt asks her cousin, who are you talking to? Like, just comes in, just checking up on her, trying to talk to her. And her little cousin says, the man sitting right there. And then she said, Mommy, you have to go away. He's getting very angry. So of course her aunt freaks out and was like, no, that's not happening, because I would actually move out at that point. So she calls a priest in, and the priest even says that they refused to help because they said it was something not right was in that house. Like, they literally refused to help her. They're like, too evil, we don't want to handle that, it's bad, you might want to find somebody else or move. At that point, I just feel like there's no other option but to leave the house. I'm being serious. And I hate when people comment that in my videos. They're like,
why don't you just move out?
When I tell these stories, and I'm like, I'm not gonna move out because the door's shut on its own. Like, that just seems so excessive. But something like that, I'm gonna peace out. That's too scary. And especially if the priest says, I'm not gonna help you.
Goodbye.
At that point, it's time to move out. That's really scary. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for telling me your story. Yeah, it's so spooky. Wow. So the last story I'm gonna be telling you is from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐿. She actually DM'd me this story, and it is very long, so that's why this is the last story. I'm only doing 3. So this all started about 4 years ago when her and her family had to move to Illinois, and her dad was going to start working with their grandpa. Yeah, so they all packed up and moved there, but they didn't have time to look for a house, so they ended up moving in with their grandma. But eventually it got too crowded in there, so they were looking for a house. As they were looking, her mom found a house and was like, hey, what do you think about this? To their grandma. And their grandma was like really against it right off the bat. She was like, I just have heard not good stories about that house. I don't think you should move in. Her grandma even told her a story about how someone that used to live in the house like ended up like committing suicide in the house. Like, really messed up things about this house. But of course they moved in anyways because it was a perfect house, perfect size, perfect everything. It was just by the school they wanted, like, so they just ignored all of the signs that they shouldn't move in and ended up moving in. So when they first moved in, the only person that was having like any weird experiences was 𝐬𝐿. Nobody, like her mom didn't experience anything weird. Rest of her family or siblings, nobody but her. She said she would hear unexplainable voices, noises, just like nothing too crazy, but just like weird things. She just felt off in the house. But again, nobody in the house did, so it wasn't a big deal until her mom started experiencing weird things. So the first story she told me was when her mom was sleeping and her dad was at work at the time. So usually if her dad was at work, her little brother would go sleep with their mom because there was an extra spot in bed. So so she's laying there trying to sleep and she hears rattling at the door. Now again, since her little brother used to sleep in her mom's room all the time, her mom didn't think anything of it. She was just like expecting her little brother to walk in. And when she didn't, she like got up and she was like, hey Owen, are you awake? And no answer. So very unsettled, she wakes up and like completely gets out of bed and goes to check and make sure everybody's asleep. And of course, they're all asleep. So that was the first thing to happen to her, where she started to believe that things were off around the house. So then another night comes and again her dad is at work, so nobody's in the house besides the kids and her mom. And they're all sleeping in their mom's bed. Because when their dad was out of town, they all used to just sleep in there because why not? They're all sleeping and 𝐬𝐿 ends up getting up and she's like, I want to go in my own bed. It's too crowded in here, whatever, I'm gonna go. She gets up and goes and sleeps in her own bed, and then eventually her younger brother gets up too. Her mom wasn't like, why did 𝐬𝐿 get up? Because 𝐬𝐿 was older, she preferred her own bed, like didn't really question it. But Owen loved sleeping in their mom's bed. So her mom's like, Owen, why'd you wake up and why'd you get out of bed? And he says, it was too crowded. And she says, it was just me, you, and their other little brother. It wasn't like crowded at all. And he goes, yeah, and dad. And she's like, no, dad was at work, like it was just us, like nobody was there. So things got even crazier, and this thing that happened next is actually one of the things that kind of made them move out of the house. So basically one day her mom and her dad were, her mom was at work and her dad was about to leave for work. Her dad says, just do the dishes before mom gets home, and so she doesn't have to do them after work. Adeline is like, no problem, whatever, I'll just get them done now, just so they're done. So right before she starts doing them, she sees her little brother go out the front door, and her dad went out the back, I believe. So her dad leaves, and as far as she knows right now, her little brother is outside. She realizes that she has no towel to put the wet dishes on after she washes them. So she goes into her mom's room to go get a towel, and she starts to hear something from the garage. So she at first is just like, oh, it's my little brother, like no big deal. And then she starts, the noises she's hearing are like real pounding, like noises that like he wouldn't be able to lift things and move things that would create such a loud noise, I guess. So she starts to get a little nervous, and she goes to her other brother who's sitting on the couch and is like, hey, where's Owen at? Like, have you seen him? Is he outside? And her little brother says, no, he's in his bedroom playing. She's like, no, I saw him go out the front door, but you know if he's in the garage. He's like, no, he's like in his bedroom, go look. So she goes, looks, and to the point where she walks in and she didn't see him at first. So she starts to leave and she hears him playing with his toys. She goes back in and he is no doubt in his room. So now she starts to panic. She's like, who is in the garage then? Like, that's scary. So she goes to look, and she sees that, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. So when they were moving in, they put a hatchet and an arrow on like the wall in the garage, but their mom didn't want them putting it up there just in case it fell, obviously for safety reasons. But their dad like shook it and was like showing her like it won't fall, like it's literally like takes a lot for it to fall, like shaking it, like pounding on the wall, showing her it won't fall. Well, when Adeline walks into the garage, the things that were hardest to fall, the hatchet and the arrow, are sitting in the middle of the garage. She panics. She's like, somebody's in the house. She really genuinely believes someone was in the house. So she runs inside. She tells her little brothers to just go out the front door and just run because somebody was in the house. She didn't have a plan. She didn't know what to do. She just told them to keep running because they lived by a highway. So if people saw kids running outside, they would just assume that they need help and stop. That was her plan. So she's running, she has her phone, she calls her dad and was like, hey, someone's in the house, like, it's bad, like, we're running right now, we don't know where we're going, we're running, someone's in the house, like, come home. So of course he turns around, comes home, they call the police, and the police come in, they take pictures, and they say that there was no sign of an intruder. That is so scary. The stories that scare me the most are the stories that have to do with people calling the police. The only reason that scares me the most is just because that means, like, you don't call the police unless you know it's real, like, unless you know someone's in the house. And the fact that no one was in the house and you genuinely think someone's in the house, that's very scary. So yeah, very scary story. Thank you so much for sharing the story, and that was a very long story, so thank you for taking the time out of your day to share it with me. It was a good one. And thank you to everybody else that shared a story. Even if I didn't say it, I did read a lot of them, so I most likely saw your story. And I might still say it in some videos to come. But I do appreciate every single person that did share a story because it takes a lot of time to write those out. Yeah, that's all of the stories. I love you guys so, so much. If you liked this video and want me to do a part 3, I definitely can do that. Just let me know in the comment section below. You can also comment some more stories that you might have in this one if you want me to tell it in the next one, or retell your story that you may have already said in a different video, so I might have a better chance of seeing it. I don't know, whatever you want. I love you guys so, so much, and I will catch you on the flip side.